Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah said something interesting. He said, يحدث للناس من أقضياتهم على قدر فجورهم. Umar ibn Aziz said, يحدث للناس من أقضياتهم. A new rulings has to be initiated because of the amount of corruption and violations happening in society. Yani some of the issue that I discussed yesterday and I might discuss in the future, some of the older generation cannot understand. And sometimes myself, I can't comprehend that I need to talk about this. But the amount of change in society and the change in the moral code and the way the society behave have forced the fuqaha and the Muslim jurists and the scholars to speak about issues to meet the new challenges that the society have and the community have. And I think that's something noticeable. I mean, in what world would you think that we have to say that human gender are like, man and female? To speak about that, and to marriage between a man and a woman, and to have a whole entire movement about what this woman is. It just things like you will, if you talk to someone from just generations or somebody from a different culture will be like, what are you guys talking about? We cannot understand that. But the reality is these issues are issues, need to be addressed, need to be talked about because of the nature of the society today. That's number one. Number two, I want to say when it comes to marital relationships would never be controlled 100% by strict laws. It doesn't work. It's not about laws. It's not the faqih will not be there every day in your life and give you fatwa, or the judge will, be able to control every aspect of your life. It has to be based in a mutual agreement, mutual understanding. Like yesterday when we said, for instance, that, she works, if she worked before, what kind of agreement that they do. Yes, but even if you have an agreement and there is a mutual understanding and cooperation and working together, no matter how much law you put and restrictions and clarification, it will not work. But I think clarity and some rules and some agreement ahead of time can help to reduce the tension, reduce that problem. But don't think that this is the final or the end of it. I give you an example. Once somebody came to me and he said, Sheikh, in Islam, I'm only responsible to provide for my wife. He's divorced, he divorced his wife. So she's still in her waiting period. And he said, I'm only responsible for 2 meals a day, or even 1 meal a day, according to some of the fuqaha. 1 set of clothes in the winter and 1 set of clothes in the summer. That's all the nafaqah that I'm obligated to. I said, that you're wrong. And he started quoting me books of fiqh. I said, I'm familiar with that. But these books of fiqh written, first of all, in a very old time, in a very different time. What we have in the Quran and this fuqaha based this talk based on a verse in the Quran, which is the cardinal rule when it comes to marital relationships, which is وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. You must live together according to al-ma'ruf. What's al-ma'ruf? Al-ma'ruf means something known to be good. How things can be known to be good? Known to be good by Sharia. So if the Sharia said that's good, it means it's something good. You must provide this, you must do that. But also the culture play a major role here. It's basically what does the culture says. What's commonly known as a good life? What's commonly known as an acceptable? For instance, do I need to give my money, one person said, do I need to give my wife cash money on her hand? Okay? I'm sometimes surprised by this kind of question because, did she ask you for, I thought they have access right away. But anyway, He said cash money. Then he said, what is the proof for that? I said, if this is known today that it's a common practice in marriages, that became part of what this Quran telling us to do. You know, if it is common known to be getting to get a cell phone for your wife, yes. You can't say what is the proof for that, what is not the proof for that. What's known to be good. Also, there is another thing, وَلْيُنْفِقْ ذُو سَعَةٍ مِنْ سَعَةٍ. Can everybody spend according to their ability? Yani it's not right that somebody, for example, mashallah, wallahi, there's a real case, a brother who owns a car lot, he sells cars. Mashallah, yani wealthy. And his wife will drive something like 20 years old, 25 years old car, broken. Like he said, I'm not obligated to get you a car. No, that's not correct. So you have to keep these two concepts in your mind. Al-ma'ruf wal-yunfiq dhu sa'atin min sa'ati. You cannot ask for your husband to get in loans and to go beyond his means and to live a life that it doesn't fit his lifestyle. And you should not get out of your way to live a life that you cannot provide for your kid just to impress your wife or to impress your children. You should know that you give according to your income and your ability. And also to be according to what is known as good, And as we know, this can different from one time to another, from one certain time of your life to another, certain country to another, and so forth. And I remember somebody was telling he wants to give the nafaqah for his wife in America based on how much is it overseas. Wallahi, he will argue with me in the office. I said, it doesn't work this way. You're not living overseas. You're living here. You cannot give her based on what's overseas rate is. That doesn't work this way. He said, but my mom. I said, your mom is a different case. Your aunt is, your sister is a different case. Every case has to do with itself. Yesterday we talked about the issue of working. I will just get one issue that people ask a lot about it, and the Muslim jurists discuss. If a person tell his wife to quit her, or after 25 years, let's say, of marriage, a problem happened. And this is when the issue happened when there is a problem and there is a divorce, Allah forbid, and there is, separation. Sometimes wife will say, Sheikh, I've been with this man for 30 years, 40 years, and he just can't leave me like that. First of all, that argument, it's a little bit, weak, because in the last 30 years, you're not just living in the street, you're also providing for you shelter, food, housing, vacations. It's not like you're living for free. He also spent money on you and the kids, and if he's been opening a house, he's been making his responsibility. If he's for the last 30 years neglecting you, yes, you might have a point. But if he is providing all these 30 years, you cannot come say, after 30 years, I'm just going out with nothing. So that's not how we approach it. But we say, if the husband have asked his wife to quit her job or to stop her education, and after 30 years now he let her go, she doesn't have money, she doesn't have something to fall in to provide for herself, would it be fair to say, you know what, I will just give you a certain amount of money, the nafaqah, the 3 months, and that's it, and you go tawakkal ala Allah. Now she is like in her 40s, in her 50s, or in her 30s, whatever, after all these years, and you say, go out. No, nobody would ever say that this is acceptable in Sharia, or Sharia will never accept something like that. So the Sharia said, specifically in case like this, where she was asked to quit, where she asked to basically not to continue her education because she wants her to dedicate to the house and to the children and blah, blah, blah. That woman, there is something it's called in the end of marriage, mit'ah. Al-mit'ah is a financial compensation. And the strongest opinion among the fuqaha that it is wajib in the case of divorce, unless it's khul', unless it's a khul', or the woman violated the code of marriage. But other than that, no, the mit'ah is a financial compensation. How this financial compensation been decided? We look at several factors. One of it is this issue. If we found that he had prevented her from growing financially or quit or to grow financially, she has to be compensated with the money to be reasonable amount for someone who did that. That will be higher versus someone who never had a job, for example, never had an opportunity to that. She still will be giving mut'ah, but it might be less. Also, we look at the amount of years of marriage. Okay? And it depends. If we found, for example, somebody came and married a woman for 6 months and divorced her, just for no good reason. In this case, the mut'ah, the financial compensation for this woman would be high. And if no, after 30 years and this woman does not have education, she doesn't have, to stand on her feet, we'll say the mut'ah has to be longer. For example, in Egypt, they go from 2 years to 5 years of financial support. The Islamic court in Egypt, they will give you from 2 to 5 years based on the situation. In some other countries, so it is ijtihad from the judge and the place based on the situation. But don't think that it is khalas, I just give you 3 months, this is $3,000, assalamu alaikum. That's not true, that's not the case at all. And it is, if somebody thinks that this is how the Islam works, no, that's dhulm, that's not right. Also, there is another thing, if she contributed to the business, in this case, it has to be evaluated what's her contribution to the business. If she contributed with money, if she contributed with work, contributed with the idea, with whatever support, in this case, there is a settlement has to be done. But any divorce case, it's a case-by-case judge in Sharia. That's why we call divorce mas'ala qada'iyya. It's an issue of qada', where an arbitrator or a judge will look into the case and deal with both. In the case. And sometimes the mut'ah can be, this mashallah, a young woman, come from a wealthy family. She's, let's say she's a doctor and she have financially very well off. In this case, her mut'ah will not be, it will be mut'ah bas li jabr al-khatir, it will be just as a gift, but it will not be a large sum of money because she doesn't need that. Unless there is kind of a broken heart. So it will be decided based on this man's income, based on this man's salary and income, and also the need. Also the difference, then this has nothing to do with the child support and has nothing to do with the money that you pay the mother for being the custodian of the kids. As these are 3 different areas. There is a child support, and there is a money giving to the wife who is the custodian of the kids for looking after the kids, and there is extra if she's breastfeeding, and the issue of the divorce. In the divorce, the mut'ah, obviously we look also into the issue of if there is deferred dowry, if there is nafaqah never been given, like somebody neglect paying the nafaqah of his children, we'll calculate that whatever years he's been missing, it has to be added to it. So what I'm saying is, divorce is expensive. So stay married. Okay? Divorce is expensive, and it's expensive financially and psychologically in people. Okay? It's what I want to get into, I think, important for you, for brothers and sisters, is not to think that divorce is just, I just let her go and leave. And that's let some sisters think and have more trust in non-Islamic core system. And a'udhu billah, al-hukum, the hukum bighayr ma anzal Allah, the taghut, think that is better than the sharia. And so many people tell me, not so many, but some sister might say to tell me, Shaykh, wallahi, the non-Muslim law is better than Muslim law. Astaghfirullah. The kufr, if somebody think that way. It's a kufr, it's not like a sin. Just to believe that somebody's law better than Allah's law, that's kufr. The problem comes from not knowing what's the law of Allah. The problem comes with the wrong practices of some Muslims. And also, this should not be based on, again, you have to take into consideration his income. Like for example, somebody's income $70,000 a year. You can't come and expect you're going to get, for example, from him $7,000 a month or $6,000 a month or $5,000 a month. Wouldn't make any sense, especially if he has to pay for children's support. So also because you cannot burden the person beyond their abilities. So all this has to be taken in consideration. And I think a lot of people don't understand how sophisticated this is in Sharia and how Sharia look at all these components together when it comes to the termination, the marriage through divorce. And again, the issue of woman divorcing the husband is a different case, which is khula. And basically, none of these things will be applicable except the child support, and the hadana, paying for her to be the custodian, her or whoever is the custodian for the children to be paid by the father, with all some rules and regulation related to it. But I hope this has given a little bit of clarity of that issue, because a lot of people, kind of, my opinion, don't have a clarity about it. Wallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ya Rabbi, bless all your marriages and bless all your, I was going to say bless their divorces. No, bless all your marriages, your children, and keep you away from divorce, and islih lana wa lakum al-ahwal. Sallallahu ala Muhammad.